Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much to our witnesses for this vital testimony. I do take note that it was said that China is going to great lengths to try to have an information blackout and not let it be known what is happening to Tibetan children. And the fact that, I just want to particularly thank you, Dr. Loh, as a teacher and your deep caring of children, but the fact that you were able to bring us direct, recent testimony that you saw yourself, I think is vital for this committee to be able to hear, but also to be able to amplify. And I actually thank all the members of the committee from all parties that we were able to get your testimony sort of squeezed into our calendar to make sure we had an exceptional meeting today, so that we could have this on the record, which I hope will go some way in making sure that this is known in the world. My question, and I take note that Ms. Richardson, you mentioned an attempt at sinicization. There's, I know that Ms. Tedtong, you said something about looking at all of these issues together, and you know that this committee was the committee that I think was almost first in the world of any parliament to study the Uyghurs back in 2018, what was happening there at a time when China was trying very hard not to have information public on this. And I noted that there are some eerie similarities in the surveillance, in the attempt to completely eradicate a language and culture and people by taking their children. I wonder to what extent this is something that we know that Tibet, I think it was Ms. Tedtong who said it's the canary in the coal mine. Tibet is sort of ahead. But at the same time, I imagine that these techniques, the technologies, this is being shared and learned from. We noted with the Uyghurs that it was the same governor that had been in Tibet who then went to Xinjiang. And I wonder to what extent China is using this against all of its minorities in a much grander sort of attempt to eradicate different peoples. If you could, I'd like to start with Dr. Loh, and then if each of you could answer that question. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. And of course, over the years when I was teaching in my former university, I had a number of the Mongolian and Uyghur colleagues. We often share the experience, exchange the ideas. In the university, during the official meeting, we pretend we don't know each other. But in the evening, we invite each other for a certain place to get dinner together. So we had that kind of experience. That experience is not simply to respond to the government's pressure on us as intellectual people. So throughout those experiences, it is clearly I can see there are similarities between boarding preschool in Uyghurs, in Xinjiang, and in Tibet. It's exactly the same. There's no differences. But on the other hand, there are some of the strategic differences between the China treating Tibetan and Uyghurs. For example, I can share with you a concrete example. In 2017, Shanghai social science academic did a social survey on that. What's the difference between from Tibetan and Uyghur from their perspective? They think wipe out Tibetan from urban city, let them back to their rural area, and then kill out the Uyghur from every city in China. That's kind of a different attitude they have from Chinese people's side.